If I don't get going on this now, it's not going to happen. So, hello, friends. I'm Colonel Failure, and this is the Colonel Reduced for October, still 2021. Ooh, busy. Actually, am I going to? Right, good. Okay, now I've got only 4 items on the agenda item lister, but it will spill out into the usual measure of stuff, and I'm a little later this month. Well, partly because I went on holiday. Yeah, I went on holiday. And you know what? When I went on holiday, I took this with me. Took this, which is brand new. It's just a notebook, right? In kind of a very pleasing lilac colour. And I over the course of the time I spent off there, that right, I'd sit in the sunshine, with a beer and having food turn up and sat in the sunshine by the pool, and herself would be, reading books and diving in the pool, and I wrote a lot because I've got, and this is what I tend to do when I'm on holiday is that I use it to entirely turn off my electricals as much as possible. I mean, I'll check in, every day, maybe for 20 minutes, not even, maybe for 5 minutes over the course of the day, just to make sure that nothing is burning down in my absence. But the main aim is to get all of this clutter that I've got in here and add some form to it, to do some planning for stuff. And I don't even know how many different kind of projects that I've got on the low to high bubble scale at the moment, but it's a lot, and they're all good. That's the thing. And so I like to kick these ideas a little bit further along to see, is there an obvious stumbling block in there somewhere that I could be tripped up and therefore it's not worth pursuing, or do you think the idea is so strong that it is worth pursuing? And these aren't, obviously these aren't all video based. I'm writing 2 different books, both of which I've now done the full outlines for, and they've both got merit. One's fiction, one's non-fiction, and then potentially a third as well, which would be another non-fiction job. I've got. I'm working on a tabletop war game with Jake, because I decided that it was time for me to put my loathing of the Games Workshop rule set to rest by going, well, okay, Smarty Pants, how would you do it? So that's on the go, and that's taking shape. I've gone to the extent of buying a bunch of little 10mm. I'm working at the moment, a bunch of 10mm kind of tanks and soldiers and stuff, and to just kind of test it out in terms of conceptually. If and when Jake and I play a game, I'll record it, and then you can see it in action. I've got the rules all worked out. I need to get some cards printed, but other than that, it's all good. What else? Redline Fury is. It's that far away. I am bitterly disappointed that it's taken so long, and it's largely because I wasn't expecting to have to do the bits that I've just done myself, and it works, but it's shoddy at the moment. The website side of things, but the website side of things isn't the big hook. The big hook is the video that comes with it. That will provide a level of interest that is significant, and I'm going to power it through. I think in the next 2 weeks you'll see the first video. There's nothing holding me back now, other than actually the bit that's holding me back is I've got probably 10 to 12 hours worth of Photoshop bits and pieces to do. If you are a Photoshopist and you want to help out, hit me up on Discord. I need to stop being so precious about things and keeping it to myself. I promise you absolutely zero in exchange, other than you're helping out. And let's face it, this is the video for people who already help out. So if you've got Photoshop, and you know how to use it, that's the important bit, is you know how to use it. You've got to be reasonably good with it, not brilliantly good. You don't need to be able to draw necessarily, but you do need to be able to get stuff done. if you fancy helping out, yeah, hit me up. Right, so yeah, so Redline Fury. Electro sports. The more I think about electro sports based stuff, the more I go, I could have started out just doing a kind of weirdo sports channel featuring games, and I'd have been perfectly happy doing that. Don't get me wrong, the way that I have gone, I'm perfectly happy doing. But that I have such a broad spectrum of interest in terms of games that I like, that I could have gone in multiple different directions. And I think that sports management-y, but you do kind of play at games where you develop the players, versus management-y kind of games where you're hooking stuff up and making it work, versus your hardcore and semi-hardcore kind of simulators. I think there is a linear path between them, and general strategy games and that kind of stuff. But I like pretty much all kinds of games, with the exception of puzzle games and platformers, which is why I don't often play RPGs either, because they restrict what you're able to do too much, and therefore it just doesn't work for me. I don't want to have to play the game the way the designer intended. I want to be able to play it in my own fashion. And the beauty of sports games is you can do exactly that. I mean, it might be a completely terrible way to play it, but at the same time, go for your life. If you find a winning strategy that is not what we were expecting as designers, you've done it right. And then esports as well kind of factors into that. I've got such a great esports idea. I just need help. That's the problem. It's all very well. Here's the thing. Every idea that I ever come up with, I know I could execute that idea. If I were to sacrifice everything else that I'm interested in that I do, and I were to focus in on doing that, I'd have it done. I don't have the luxury of making that happen. Firstly, if I were to stop making videos, well, I suspect this happy pool of backing that I've got at the moment would evaporate quite quickly. A few of the more zealots, zealotoid among you may go, no, I believe in your vision, even though I don't understand your vision, and therefore I will continue backing you. But I suspect that quite a few of you would just kind of go, look, dude, we're here because you provide some entertainment. This is a Netflix subscription, so come on, chop, video up, let's go. I might not enjoy all of them, but the ones I do enjoy, I quite like. So there you go. So I mean, that's a job, and that's fine, and I love it. It's absolutely great. Segue to stats briefly. What I will say is October, we're going like a rocket. It's good. October's going to be a top 10 month, no doubt at all. How was September, though? Well, I'm glad you asked. September, pretty good. We're on actually a reasonably decent streak. We went through a very bad streak from May to August, where we were doing like 400, 500 new subs a month. And the subs per month is a measure of how well am I reaching a fresh audience. The views per month is how well am I delivering against what the audience always wanted, plus how well you're reaching a new audience. I mean, I had a great. No. June was a top 10 month. It was the 8th biggest month of all time. And you kind of go, all right. You go, you want to know how many months there have been of all time? Hold on, wait. 86 months, 85 months all time. So a top 10, we like that. Especially when I'm outside the launch windows for Transport Fever, which, they lock in positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. They've always been the real kick in the pants to get the channel rolling. That's understandable. But obviously, bringing Transport Fever back this month has worked out very nicely, because several big channels have started covering it, and you kind of go like, all right. And it had enough of a break. And actually, I'd intended to bring back the main line after I started doing the second half of the Japan series, and it just played like a dog. I went, I can't continue. When every episode you kind of go, it's just chugging. It's because the map is too big, the cities are too plentiful, and they're too large, and therefore those cities, it's exploding in terms of the amount of calculations that the game has to do, and therefore your frame rate goes to absolute bobbins in no time at all. It's not graphics that are doing it, it's all background processing stuff. So yeah, starting out mainline but making all the towns small, because the overall aim is the transport of freight more than anything else. It's going very nicely. It's one of the best concepts that I did in Transport Fever 1, also one of the most chaotic, and therefore it's a solid concept. And I'm revisiting a lot of the ideas that I had for Transport Fever 1, for no good reason, really, other than, I liked them and they didn't really work. And therefore, I'm doing it again, and let's see how it goes. Metropolis is one of people's favourite series that I did for TPF1, and it was a series. It was never going to work. It was never ever. It was never going to work, because that's not how the towns grow, and you can't make people move where you want them to move. No, that's fine. That's what I'd change instantly. That would be a feature that I'd add. Is start the game with no industries whatsoever, and you have to buy the industries and place them. And when you place an industry, you'll get a certain amount of people who live nearby, so that they can go and work at that industry, like Detroit, right? Where name any town in Yorkshire, that has a history of coal mining, or Sheffield with its steel or whatever, right? But populations grew up around an area where there was a big business, because it would pull people in from the countryside who wanted jobs. Great. Okay, give me that in Transport Fever, because then you'll start to get sub-towns and little work communities just kind of building up, whether it's farming or whether it's industry or whatever. And then you could do something really interesting, because you could always start with a naked map, with maybe, one or two major towns in there and maybe the odd dotted house here. I digress. But yeah, Metropolis was never going to work, but mainline had potential, so I'm really enjoying playing that again. And mainline ties into, I didn't even finish with my, here's all the wacky plans I've got going on, but I think we're past that now. Mainline has tied into my new video approach, which I think a few people have clocked that I've got a new video approach. And as you know, I evolve the way that I do things on a regular basis, and sometimes it gets a little bit stuck in the mud, and I'm clearly on a no-win. But sometimes I hit a positive direction, and I think the direction I've got at the moment is stupendously positive, and is probably the best approach that I've had in a while. And the inspiration for it was twofold. It was a singular thought that kicked it off, and then I came up with an example as to why it's such a good idea. The thing that kicked it off was, all those videos you like the best that you've made in the past, pretty much 90% of them are stupid simulators. And there are, a 1 to 3 part in and out, shake it all about, off you trot. And that's where your best commentary comes from. That's where the stuff that you watch back and laugh at your own commentary, because you kind of go, that was just a nice piece of timing. That's a nice statement to make in that moment. You know how, if you're in an argument with someone and you walk away and you have the idea 30 seconds later about what you should have just said. When I find that actually I said the perfect thing in the right moment, at the right time, in the right place in one of these videos, it makes me go, oh yes, that's the stuff. It's one of the challenges of being a YouTubeist, is that you have to be able to recognise when you've done something well. And that's really difficult, because the first hurdle to get over is hating the sound of your own voice and hating the inconsistencies in your speech patterns. My umming and erring, crikey, there's loads of it. But you have to get used to it. You either have to go, all right, am I going to work to filter all of that out? In which case, I can do it. I have to switch quite a significant part of my brain on to make it happen. But repeated phrases and umming and erring, if I add those in, it flows the speech pattern. If I were to be more stilted about it and filter those out, at least in the short term, there would be gaps while my brain kind of goes, don't do that. And I go, okay, I'll go on to the next thing. And it would change the flow of speech up a little bit. And it's hard to say whether it would be better or not. It would certainly be, there was one, it would certainly be more professional and more commercially acceptable, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if, because the stuff that I do well is when I go onto some kind of storytelling angle, right? And it could be just telling a story that I'm making up on the spot about some bit of traffic that's got stuck somewhere. And it's a 10-second story, but at the same time it all kind of flows together. It's like, it's a rambling bloke in a bar who you just kind of listen to for the sake of, like, he's just got stories to tell and you're listening to it. And I like doing that. That's quite good fun. And when I'm on a when I have the right spark of imagination kick off while I'm playing stuff, it works really well, which is why random old simulators work really nicely, is because the gameplay experience is going to be strange and new and different, and you've got the setup parameters of, you are in this space doing this role, at which point you imagine everything that you've assimilated over the course of your life with regards to your assumptions as far as that role is concerned. You can then just play those out and exaggerate them to the nth degree, while maintaining a constant level of belligerence towards members of the public, because who are your customers, obviously, because that's where the fun is. It's why I rather enjoyed World of Pants. That King of Retail, I think it's called. World of Pants is what it's actually called, because it lent itself towards that thing, but it looked horrible. And therefore, that's why it suited being a backer series. I should talk about backer series, because the belligerence towards customers. The downside to it is starting to get a little bit routine. There were no new real tricks to see. The game expands much further in that you can go into owning multiple stores and you appoint managers and they make more money and you do all of this and that and the other. But you kind of go like, yeah, that's just more of the same on a bigger scale. It's not like there's any fresh tricks to see. And that's why I stopped covering Gas Station Simulator when I did. Probably 1 to 2 episodes later than I should have done, because I need the next what's unique about what's going on, and the car wash, they haven't put it in the game yet, and that would be the next unlock. So I'm quite happy to stick a fork in it temporarily and possibly revisit it later. The likelihood is I won't, but the possibility still presents itself. It's not on the uninstalled list, not like Junkyard Simulator, which is uninstalled. I ain't going back there because they got that. They had such a great idea for a game and then they ruined it. Yes, there should always be more stuff in your junkyard, but it shouldn't be the same junk heap constantly respawning. Especially when the randomization isn't working properly, and therefore you go back to the same junk heap, you get the same stuff. No, that's just... It then moves from being, I am sorting through and running this junkyard, into this is a lesson. This is a lesson in futility. You will never tidy this junkyard. That's what I like from House Flipper, is you go in and it's a complete state. You put it back together again, and you made that. That's now yours. Without having a sense of ownership over the thing that you're working on, then it's not yours, and therefore you care about it that much less. So there you go. So yeah, stats for September, they were okay. 330,000. That's the standard number of views that I will do in a month. We're going beyond that by a good shake in October. We're currently in the kind of 450,000 range and climbing. So it's well, that's on a rolling month though, you see. So it's hold on, I'll fish up the numbers. Let's have a quick shufty. Where are we? Okay, on the rolling 28 day, 469,000 views. And, well, I don't know, if I can get the camera to focus on the graph, you can see that. No, wait, there you go. There you are. You got it? Yeah? Right, well, you only need to look at the wiggly line, right? The bottom end of the front end of the line is low. So if I can continue making the top end of the line stay at a high level, we're in business. Would be nice to push 500,000. How many times have I done 500,000? I'm curious. I'm finding out. Okay, number 5 in the all-time top 10 has done 529. Where's number 6? Has done 521. Okay, number 7, 497. Okay, so top 7 if I can crack 500,000. Right. You want to know what number 1 all time is? I think it's like, yeah, there you go, 800,000. That's Transport Fever 2 launch. Yeah, 800,000 views in a month. Yeah, that would be nice. And in fact, I mean, I've spoken about it before, but my next objective, in a statistical sense, is to move my plateau from the 300,000 range to the 500,000 range. If I can do that, then we're going places, and that ties into this new approach. When I first got started, Nerd Cubed was the big dog for kind of rubbish simulators. I mean, you'd got Squirrel doing his thing, but Squirrel was very much trucks, and that's gone well for him. Although arguably he's had more impact with My Summer Car than he has with trucks. That's cool. But trucks is his main jam. Whereas Nerd Cubed was doing any old rubbish simulator and playing in a jocular way. Now I'm not a big fan of Nerd Cubed. I find him a little bit too giggly, and maybe just a little insubstantial. I'm such a snob, but I respect the audience that he built and the work that he's put in to build that audience, right? So it's not to my taste, but I understand the quality of the work that he's put out. And I went, he doesn't do that anymore. Who does do that? Is there someone whose goal is grab a bad simulator and play at it? And then I went, no. This is the thought process, right? So I went like, well, so what you're saying is some of your best commentary comes out from playing a bad simulator, and we've seen successful channels in the past have come out of playing bad simulators, and no one is currently the bad simulator people. That would appear to be an opportunity then, wouldn't it? So there we go. So that's where I am. That's what I'm at. That's what I'm doing for the time being. The other key factor to this kind of stylistic approach change switch up is hold on, I had the words. They're here. They're still there. I haven't forgotten what it is. I've just misplaced the words. No, the second factor here is quick fire. Instead of 1 episode a week, see you next week, or 2 episodes a week, see you next week, and then those series last for 20 plus episodes, which means, well, that's the next 3 months that you're tying up in one series. No, get them out, get them done, get them gone, move on. And that works really well. The only time it's tricky is like when Infraspace launched last week, it means that you've got to go and do some double episode days. Now, double episode days are great for traffic. They are hellish to keep up with in terms of getting the work done. I think the most surprising, the biggest one that I did, this is the Automation Empire, right? It launched in like a December, January time, and I was fortunate in that I got in there fast, and I'd sucked up quite a lot of the YouTube search authority, and I whacked out 12 episodes before moving on. But I did it every single day, and the views that it's done as a result, hold on, I'll give you some numbers against that to validate my claim. Automation Empire, I did 12 videos, and they average 13,500 views a video. You all know where the wood chipper line is. That's not nothing. The first episode's done 46,000 views at this point. The 5th biggest episode has done 13,000 views at this point. That's great. That is exactly the kind of level that I need to be hitting on one series that does that once a month would be great. Part ones, we've spoken about part ones thousands of times, and they work quite nicely. But quick fire, get it out, be in the right place at the right time. Is it new? Yeah, grab it, jump on it, do your usual patter against a new thing, and then you get the search bump, which is a whole bunch of new people, coupled with you're still delivering against what your existing people want, and if they dislike the game, you're into another one next week. And that is the methodology that I'm using at the moment, and it's working. So let's talk about Redline Fury, because it's been kicking around, and this is sort of a philosophical approach that I'm going to be taking with this and with a couple of other things as well, which is getting it to a point at which you think, yes, this is now acceptable to be out there and public. If I'd have done that when I started making videos, I would have never published a video. I'd have never got one out there. Instead, for some reason, the mood just took me. I recorded something, I went, that do, and sling it out. And then go from there and evolve and improve over time and add polish and stuff. Now, admittedly, I could still add tons and tons more polish. I've got a Train Sim World video that up two, in fact, now, Train Sim World videos that I've got in the back of my head. And I'm going to do one this week. One of them is going to be out this week. And if I nail it, it will be brilliant. If I don't nail it, it will be business as usual. But if I nail it, it's just gonna kill it. I don't know whether to do a full length run or whether to make it like a 10-minute job, because the amount of work involved is huge. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I digress. Redline Fury is, for all intents and purposes, it's ready to go into its first phase, where I'm encouraging people to come in. Some of you have already jumped on board and got stuck in a little bit, but you're missing the big chunk, which is why you do all of this fairly mundane stuff on the website, and that is the video that ties it all together. So I'm going to push to get that done in the next 2 weeks. I've got to talk to my collaborator and see if he's able to assist. I've got a bunch of graphics to do. Is it essential I get them done now? Maybe I might. I don't want to do placeholders. Anyway, that's going backwards. But going out, and I know that the website is unstable as anything, and there's all manner of UI UX stuff on the website that is bad. I can live with that, because the functionality is the bit that's important, and as long as the functionality is working, then I'm okay with that. But this moves on to another point, is sitting on a good idea for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages and ages, and it just goes nowhere, is doing you no favours. And if you're unable to dedicate the time to get that idea out to fruition in the way that you want, then it's never going to happen. And a good idea that never happens is a non-existent idea. It might as well not have popped into your head in the first place. So I've got 2 other projects that I've had bubbling away for a while, that I'm thinking of doing this kind of rough cut first instance approach to see if there's interest. One of which is is the first book that I'm writing, and I'm thinking, or I had the thought while I was elsewhere, how about sticking it out episodically on for backers? You're going to go, in fact, yeah. So stick it out episodically, so in an unedited form, or rather first pass edit. So write a bunch of stuff, slap it together, edit to make it hang together properly, but it's not fully edited in you now have the full book written, and therefore it is what it is. But stick it out in that fashion. If you're interested in reading it, now you won't know obviously until you see it in action, but whether it's something that holds your attention. But if you would be interested in seeing that as a as just another thing that I stick out, then voice your opinions below. In fact, let's be more general about that. How interested are you in seeing unpolished, rough cut ideas just kind of brought to life in a way of kind of kicking them forwards a little bit? Because the other one is the EBB, and no, I'm not telling you what that stands for, but it's great. Possibly it's in here. I see it, and it's fantastic. What I really need is an American commentator who is bouncy, right? A bouncy American commentator. Tone of voice, gender does not matter at all. I need a collaborator for this one who is an American, has to be American. You can't do a fake American accent, and bouncy. If you think you are an American who is bouncy, you won't be appearing on camera. It'll be voice only, and you'll get to work with me. If you're interested, get in touch. Bouncy, right? Bouncy. Stegs-esque, right? But American. I need a Stegs-esque but American. You don't worry about being funny. Doesn't need to be funny. Enthusiastic, your classic American can-do enthusiastic attitude is all I need brought to the party. Interested? Let me know. But I'm seriously considering sticking it out in a rough cut fashion because, I mean, nobody else is going to think of this. It would take, well, they might, someone might come up with this, but I don't think anybody's put two and two together on this one yet. But we'll see. Either way, it could be absolutely brilliant, and it could be a way for loads of people to get involved in being a part of it. I know I'm being vague, but until I've done the first part and shot the video and edited it together and got the commentary over the top, I won't know if it works conceptually. So I just ought to shut up and get on with it, which is so often the case. And that's all good. I think I'm coming up to the end of today's mission report. It's a little shorter than usual. There's a new sport over on Electro Sports. I'm doing association football. I'm doing a football manager. I'm probably going to get through a season in 10 to 12 parts because I'll play multiple games per episode. I've done the prelude already, and people are like, yeah. We'll see how it manifests once it gets underway. I think the weakness in it is that you don't actually watch the games 3D animated, and that might hold it back. But I'm going to give it a go anyway because I've put a stack load of editing in, and I quite like the game. So editing in the sense of I've put teams together in the database and all that kind of stuff. We'll see how it goes. So there's going to be, eventually, there will be 3 to 4 series that run on Electro Sports on a once per week basis. And that's dead interesting. Have I got bandwidth for all this stuff? Of course I don't. I don't have bandwidth for the stuff I do now. But somehow it happens. It trickles out there. And while I'm doing Madcap simulators and and Transport Fever and all of that kind of stuff, it's dead quick to edit. Dead quick to edit. And that's a lifesaver because it means that I can dedicate 3 hours to recording, during which time I'll get, let's say, 4 or 5 episodes done, recorded. And that's the best part of a week. And I can find that time, no problem at all. The one last thing to talk about is the one last thing that occurs in every video that hasn't occurred for the best part of a month now, is the end of video. Why did I get rid of it? And why? When's it coming back? And what is this thing with an armchair? Okay, so that if you haven't read any of the secrets, you won't know. But I detailed this in the secrets. It is definitely coming back. But what I wanted to get away from is the way that I have been doing it of late, which is I only record the bit to camera after editing the video. Now, this takes the video editing process, it doubles the length of it. So what I want to do instead is move towards a situation where I record all of my 2 video bits completely independently. Now, that might mean on occasion that I don't talk about the game. In fact, it might mean on occasion that I don't talk about the game. In fact, it means that it's very unlikely that I talk about the game. Instead, I'll do something else, but it'll be just an end segment, which is a friendly kind of summation of the world and the universe and so forth. Exactly how it's going to work, I don't know, but it means that I can put a set together, the armchair and surroundings, record 10, 15 of those in the space of an hour, chop it into chunks, and then that's 10, 15 videos worth of stuff that I could just smack straight in. I'd edit that together in the same way that I would a regular video. It's an efficiency thing. That's really all it is. It's just a means of being efficient in my use of time. Because the way that I had been doing it was inefficient, and it always felt like a hassle to record the stuff to camera. Plus, the longer I spend talking to a camera in one sitting, the more it starts to become organic. Quite a lot of those end segments were very forced. It was just like, what the heck am I going to talk about? And you kind of go, well, there you go. I've progressed a little bit on this, and I think it's going to work out. Well, maybe it will work out. Maybe it won't. Anyway, next time, probably going to do a little bit of something else, and you're going to want to. I've got nothing to say, absolutely nothing to say, and therefore putting myself into a headspace where I can get better as time goes on and then leave chunks out is, I think that the end result will be better, although you won't necessarily get the references to the games coming up because these are designed as little standalone vignettes, I guess. So that's why it's gone, and all I need to do now is put a set together and record it. It's just not as big a deal as you think. It's about having a decent looking backdrop and putting a chair in it and me and a microphone and press record and off we trot. I've got all of these things. All of these things can happen very easily. All I have to do now is go and do it. Yeah, so there we go. In summary, then, all I have to do is go and do it. Would you like to see incomplete projects in a very rough cut kind of a fashion so that I can kind of go, no, I'm sticking with it, or no, I'm chucking it? I think that's the way towards progress. Redline Fury, definitely, next couple of weeks. It largely depends on how long it's going to take me to mod the game. I've got to do a bit of game modding. But it's only graphics, and I've done it before, so it's not a big job, but it is a job. And there you go. That's it. That's your lot. Yeah, good. Thank you very much for your ongoing support. It is very, 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 very important to facilitating this kind of behaviour, because it means that I do have time at my disposal to work on this stuff in a dedicated fashion. I mean, here we are. What time is it? It's 10 to 12 on a Thursday, right? That's when I should be doing a day job, but this is my day job. You know what I'm doing this afternoon? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to record baseball. Yeah. I'm going to record Train Sim World. Yeah. I'm probably going to record Bacchus series. Satisfactory, probably. It's a big time sink. That's my problem with Satisfactory. Actually, the second game that I've got in consideration, I'm thinking of doing on the main channel. So maybe not that. No, it's going to be Satisfactory. All right, I'll get that done this week. You'll have it within the next 7 days, as of this video going public. All right, the first parter. Sorry, it's been so long since the end of the last series. It's legitimately been, I haven't had the right kind of game come up that made me go, That's what I should be doing. Minecraft. Let's talk Minecraft ever so briefly. When I've got 3 hours to spare, I'm going to go in and play some, and I'll record while I'm doing so as a kind of progress update on the server. Void Train. Let's cover that. I'm going to do Void Train as as one of the next quick fire, rapid fire, blat through it games. It did not ignite the way that I hoped it had, which is why my initial push turned into a done with that. But I'm not done with it. I want to play some more of it, so I might see if Jake wants to play as well, because it's multiplayer, and therefore it would speed things up a little bit. And there you go. Transport Fever, anywhere between 2 and 7 episodes a week of that, until I get through it, and then I'll give Transport Fever a breather again. As much as it is an ongoing engine of views and so forth, the more important thing is keep making stuff that has the potential to reach more people, while at the same time has great potential for generating fun commentary. Hopefully I'm delivering on that, and based on the numbers, I seem to be doing all right. Thank you again. I'll catch you next time. Cheerio.